We want to share the foundations of the SFI practice, and there are other foundations such as positive psychology, but we really think that these are the most important foundations for this practice. We're going to start with constructivism. And Gerald, can you tell us how constructivism is a foundation?
I tell you that constructivism is a different idea than some people think of learning new things as kind of a passive thing where people, like in a classroom where a teacher presents a bunch of information to you and you kind of store it in your mind so you can call it up later and it has information to use in this situation. But how you really do assemble and take in information is I think constructivism is a better way than this passive storing of new information in bins in your mind. But constructivism, you have a lot of ideas already in your mind and how you're thinking, and then when you construct your own meanings and have new constructions, you are really just kind of adding this new information. Sometimes it's information, sometimes it's some type of a thought or feeling, and this construction is that you make it real. You sort of you integrate it in with your way of making sense out of the world, and so when you have meanings, all kinds of meanings that are in there, and this constructivism is just how you take it in and it's like you making your meaning, you constructing it. And it's kind of an internal reality. It isn't just a bunch of information stored in your mind somewhere. And so that's the idea of it. What's underpinning this is that you actually construct your own unique meanings. The meanings that you have are based on some the previous experiences you had and how you're integrating with your previous experiences. Everybody has unique experiences right from birth, and you keep adding your new information on top of this new information coming in. So everybody's got a completely unique internal construction of reality, an internal reality. And that's what constructivism and how it's different than just plain old learning theory. So that's the key idea here, that you are really, it's an internal reality for you and you construct it yourself, and everybody's doing it differently. That's the key idea of constructivism.
Would you say that we can learn to do it in different ways? Can we change how we construct?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, you can do that all the time. You're always changing how you construct meanings. There's no pattern of how you just are taking in new stuff. It's because you're always adding to the new constructions onto your old ones, and it's a dynamic thing flowing in your brain and in your mind. And so it's really a wonderful thing. But the key idea about it is it's yours. It's your internal construction is different from anyone else's, and you create your new, and you're kind of constantly creating your new reality as you go.
And it's exciting to think of it as a more active process than a passive process with some choice making going on.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's great. And what part does articulation play in that?
Well, that's super important. And also the articulation in constructivism, because as you're constructing these meanings, they come in and they're kind of loosely, they don't come in with little labels on them and they can be easily stored. You actually you've got a bunch of meanings and words that you used over the years and so forth. And now this new stuff is coming in and you're reorganizing it, and you're creating this, a language, you're making your language. So when you try to express what you're thinking and feeling, you're expressing your unique way of experiencing this, whatever the phenomena is that we're talking about. So this articulation is super important because you are using your particular language that means something for you, and you're using that, and it's your unique language, your unique meanings, and as you clarify that and you put them into words. In writing is even a better thing. If you write something, you really are putting it into articulating it. So it's there, you can see it with your eyes. One time when you say it, it's gone the next minute or 6 second. I mean, you don't know for sure what you said, but when you write something, man, it's there in writing. And so that's the constant process of creating this, articulating these meanings. That's what's really important. You have to keep doing it, and the better articulation you are, the more you're experiencing your reality and can communicate it with other people and communicate it with yourself. So it's extremely important, articulation.
I loved what you said, that life doesn't come with little labels, because that's
No.
funny, but it also speaks to one of the heart concepts of our practice, which is subjectivity, right?
Yeah.
And we're giving labels to things that others might have labeled differently because of our unique constructions. But would you say it's true that, like, just take the very first step with articulating positive moments and positive feelings? If I say to myself, if I articulate to myself, say, exciting, you know, more often, if that word is coming up in my articulations internally more often, am I going to experience myself? Is that going to become part of my constructed reality, that it shifts to seeming more exciting because I'm using that language? Is that?
Yeah, that's an interesting word, because obviously exciting is like electricity, something happening, and exciting is aliveness, and really aliveness, and it's going to be different for each person a little bit. There's no the one person saying it and they're feeling something this way, and then you're saying it, you're meaning something somewhat differently.
Yeah.
But all using a word that has the potential for communicating with other people. Yeah,
But it also shifts my internal landscape, right? If I had before been thinking, ugh, depressing, and then I'm saying exciting, it's going to change me, right?
That's quite a difference. That's quite a difference between depressing and exciting. Yeah.
Just I've done just the first examples that popped into my head.
Yeah, right.
But
So
it makes a difference from a constructivist point of view, though, right? What is the language that's going on there?
Yeah, and articulation is just so important. We through our whole life, the more we articulate better, the more our life will be meaningful and everything. Articulation is really important. Yeah.
Articulation creates meaning, and meaning feels good, doesn't it?
Sure.
Okay, so going on to the third point, mindfulness. We say the practice begins and ends in mindfulness. And for many people, at the very beginning, when we draw our attention to the present moment, it could be negative due to the influence of the negativity bias. So we start with recalling positive moments and establish a deep practice in recalling and articulating positive moments. And what happens over time is it becomes undeniable. If I'm remembering these positive moments, I must have been aware of them to some extent when they happened, or I would not remember them. And having repetitions of positive moments, one fine day, we are having that kind of positive moment, and we become aware of it in the present moment. Say, oh my gosh, I'm having a positive moment right now, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful because attention has an amplifying effect on positive moments, so it seems more positive, and there's a feeling of success. But there's also the beginning of a relationship with the present, and it's much easier to establish that relationship with positive moments. So as time goes by, we're growing more aware of the present moment through positive moments. And we live in two worlds. We live in an outside world and an inside world. And our identity is in our inside world. So when we notice our thoughts about ourselves, you know, at the beginning, just like I mentioned before, they may not be positive. So we pay attention to the positive moments, and from the positive moments, we pull out our assets, our strengths, the things that we like about ourselves. And over time now we've shifted our identity, right? So we're more aware of the present moment. And we've had this experience of shifting our thoughts and feelings. And as we own that capacity in ourselves to re-articulate who we are, we make a discovery. That sense that I had of myself at the beginning when I first started practicing, that seemed fixed and seemed, say, real or true, wasn't. Look, I've made all these changes to who I think I am. And that leaves us in the present moment with the capacity to turn our attention from the thoughts and feelings to the awareness itself. Mindfulness is non-judgmental awareness of thoughts, sensations, and feelings in the present, but we can also turn our attention to that awareness and realize this potent creative force that allowed us to change our identity. And it's a very empowering and joyful realization to have. So that's how we say that the practice begins and ends in mindfulness.
Yeah, I want to stress the present in when you talk about mindfulness, because that if you're thinking about something about in the future, and how it'll be and so forth, you're not in the present. If you're thinking about the past, even, you're not in the present. But in the present, you are that you're what's happening right now, and so that's part of the definition of mindfulness, is it's right now, and so your mind is focused on just what's happening right now, not at all future, not at all past. It's right now. So that's part you really got to keep it anchored there for when we're talking about mindfulness.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anything else about the foundations, Gerald?
No, I think we've said quite a bit here. People need to sit mull this over a while.
Sounds good.